U.S. Secretary of Education Miguel Cardona grew up in Connecticut, minutes from ESPN's headquarters. He visited recently for one of his first interviews as a member of the president's cabinet. What is your view on how transgender athletes should be treated and when and how they should compete?
Transgender athletes are students, first and foremost, and they deserve every right that every other student gets. That means a good education. That means access to extracurricular activities, be it theater, sports, it doesn't matter.
So what do you say to the argument that allowing transgender athletes to compete in certain competitions is unfair to female athletes?
I recognize there's a lot of concern around that issue, but what's not tolerable is saying that some students cannot participate because of their gender. LGBTQ students have endured more harassment than most other groups. So it's critically important that we stand with them and give them opportunities to engage in what every other child can engage in without harassment. I do believe in local control, I do believe in state control, but we do have a responsibility to protect the civil rights of students. And if we feel the civil rights are being violated, we will act.
During the last administration, the rules regarding how schools had to respond to complaints of sexual assault, sexual violence, sexual harassment changed. What is your position on those changes?
Some of the changes created concern that students would be less likely now to come forward because they might feel intimidated. I have two children in high school, both of them participate in sports, my daughter and my son. And I would want to make sure that my children felt comfortable reporting something if something happened to them and felt like they were going to be listened to and not humiliated, embarrassed, or intimidated out of the process of reporting if there were issues.
Do you think right now there is less incentive for survivors to come forward?
I believe it's more difficult for survivors to come forward with some of the processes. And once that happens, you can have a college environment that is less safe for students.
One of the changes from the provisions in the last administration was that coaches are no longer necessarily mandatory reporters. Do you support making coaches mandatory reporters?
I've been an educator for over 23 years. The moment I'm around children, I need to protect them physically and emotionally. And that means that if I see something, or if a student feels comfortable coming to me, that it's my responsibility to act.
So, can I take that as a yes?
Any person that's around a child has a responsibility and the privilege to ensure the safety of that child, both physical safety and emotional well-being.
We are approaching the 50th anniversary of Title IX, and the majority of major college athletic departments are not in compliance with the rules providing opportunity for male and female athletes. Some advocates for gender equity in sports have said that they think the only way this is going to be resolved is by a lawsuit from the Department of Education. Is that an option, or if not, what method do you feel is appropriate?
It's always an option. It's always an option, but it's almost like a last resort. If it's something that's not making adequate progress, it is our responsibility to act. And maybe legal action is one of those strategies.